Hello, everybody. I know I forgot to set up some of my live streams for the week, so I know this is a last minute. So I know that some of you may not come in here for a while. I will be inspiring myself from the chapter of the book and keep this short. So again, we're continuing with our series of Let's Talk Book Review. Bonsoir, Peter. J'espère que ça va bien pour toi. Still feeling a little bit under the weather, and to be honest, a little bit unmotivated. Those winter blues are really hitting me hard this year, so I'm really trying to find my way through creating more content, but we will push through the Canadian tough way. So, as I was saying, hello before the billions. Thank you for being here. Bonsoir. Comment ça va? I'm glad to hear, Peter, that you're doing very well. And I hope before the billions, you two are doing well tonight. So, thank you both for being here. I know that Black's Tropical Homestead is doing a live, and I know Lashes is there, and she did tell me, so I'm well aware. But I'm glad that all of you are here. To be honest, before the billions, so I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling, but I'll push through and get through this as best as I can. So, as Canadians, we're built a little tougher, as the saying goes. So tonight, we're going to continue with our book review of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. As we left off a couple of weeks ago, we had read part of chapter 3, which was in two parts. I'm gonna, basically never mind part of the second part of chapter 3, because basically he was just droning on about the same old thing. So we're going to go on to chapter 4, and I'm going to try to inspire myself as best as possible by the chapter, which is always say less than necessary, right? So that old adage of silence is golden. And this chapter is, of course, a relatively short chapter with, I think, let me see, there are 5 pages essentially for this chapter. So, always say less than necessary, the judgment. And of course, as you guys might have noticed, tomorrow morning I am, hello, Trash Can Waves. I'm glad to see you here. Of course, you'll see that I'm doing 2 lives tomorrow. One tomorrow morning at 10 about copyright infringement. I think you guys know a little bit about why I decided to uh, quote unquote break one of my rules and not talk too much about the rumor mills and spill the tea and all that stuff. But of course, with the whole goings on with Fresh and Fit and the stunt they pulled with ABBA and Preach and the lead attorney, I felt that it was one of the rare times I could make an exception, since copyright, as you guys know, for me especially, is important both as an amateur photographer and as somebody that does use other people's content to create my own content on my channel. So I figured I would talk a little bit about that tomorrow. It's not going to be the rumor mills and the whole he said, she said things. And I won't be, I will be using a little bit of the content from TLA and ABBA, but not too much, and really try to do my best to apply, of course, the concepts of sorry, I'm blanking on the word. I'll avoid copyright infringement, essentially. Fair use. Sorry, I was blanking on the words. But yeah, fair use is what I'll be aiming for, to sort of prove a point as well. So, like I said, it won't be, the rumor mills and, who's right, who's wrong, but really how we as content creators uh, can really avoid these kinds of issues as much as possible. So we'll get into the chapter, since there's not a whole lot to say about this chapters, and I find that very apropos. So, Trash Can Waves, we're reading one of your favorite books, as I know you said that you liked it. It's, of course, 48 Laws of Power. We're into law number 4, always say less than necessary. So, the judgment is, and that I know I'm legally allowed to read it since you're allowed to read a little bit, but not the whole thing. The judgment is when you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear and less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open ended, and sphinx like. Power people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish, right? Exactly, a trash can ways. Let them wonder a little bit. Let them be the ones to ask questions and have, uh, basically, leave them wanting more, right? Begging for more. You should always try to um, appear mysterious and a force to dream about. And what does Trash Can Wave has to say about this? Let them wonder about who you are and what you're about, right? So, of course, I know Trash Can Waves, you know this book a little bit, but for those of you who don't know, as usual, he has two examples, one of somebody who transgressed the law, one who followed the law. He then goes into the keys of power and then a reversal. So as you guys know, I have a lot of trouble with the words and names sometimes. So I'm just gonna call him Corey, but I'll do my best. Hey, Lashes Journey, thank you for being here. Yes, bed before the billions. Let other people talk while you stay mysterious, right? Thank you for being here, Lashes. I know you're still with Black Tropical Homestead and on her lives. So thank you for showing your support here as well. So I'm gonna do my best to pronounce this name, and I admit I'm horrible with names. Uh, it's Ignace Marcius, also known as Coriolanus. Coriolanus. So I'm just gonna call him Corey. Okay. Sorry to all those that know how to pronounce ancient Roman names. Please, please correct me with that name because I'm really not good with some of these older names, or let's just put it in unique names. So I'm going to call him Corey, okay? So Corey, the Roman general, okay? So he gives this example of how Corey, of course, went, "Hello, Shakila, wink, wink, nod, nod. I hope we're gonna find out soon that you got an A+ on your storytelling, thanks to the help in large part of Trash Can Waves and Wally." So, anyways, I haven't seen Wally in a while in my chat, but I know he's a busy guy. I don't expect him to be here all day every day either. So I hope Kayla and Lashes, both of you are doing well, and that I hope baby Kurt and Adrian, as well as I believe you have an older son as well, Lashes, if I'm right. I hope everybody is doing well in your family, and that, like I said, I hope we're going to get good news from Kayla about her essay writing. So, Corey was an old military hero that was up for election. And so, of course, like as you do with most politicians, of course, you're going to have to present yourself to the crowds, to the public. And because he was a wartime hero, he had automatically a certain amount of recognition, a certain amount of power that, of course, gave him quite a bit of favor when it came time to the for the elections. But like a few politicians will do, he ended up shooting himself in the foot. And basically, he went to speak to the public and present himself, and he basically, rather than no, hey, let's keep it short and simple, let's keep this to the point of what we're trying to talk about, He went on and on and on about his exploits, about how fantastic he is, about what a great campaigns he had, and on and on and on. And to the general public, it seemed he came off as very showboaty, very like, okay, he's not of the people. It's not his attempt at gaining power wasn't about how to favor the people in this. So it wasn't about them. It was really about him. And it got to the point he was so grandiose, and he stayed with that even when he was being told, because at one point it was so it had gone spoken about so much that, hey, he just spent x amount of time just talking about himself and about how fantastic he was, that people were saying, no, we need to shut him up. We need to, like, no, you there needs to be like political people telling him, be quiet, dude. We don't want to hear about you. We're here to, hey, there's these sewers that need to be fixed. We need to know, are you the kind of guy that's going to fix this? Are you going to be the one that's going to get the money involved? But no, he made it about him, and talking, right? So the people and other individuals, a lot of important figures. Let me just find the right words, because I know they used a particular word that I admit, hadn't heard about that, and I do have to look up what that was. But these individuals had ordered his death, essentially. Sorry, excuse me, YouTube. Sorry, I'm sorry. Ordered for his cancellation. As we know, we don't use the D word. um, I'm sometimes like Professor Black Ops. I get a little too old for YouTube standards, and I use the real words instead of the um, approved words. But yes, they ordered his cancellation. Da, da, da. So I'm still trying to find that word for those group of it, because I don't like just using random things, and I want to be able to find the tribunes. Okay, sorry, that's the word. The tribunes had asked, because he was making it about himself and really talking too much, and really making it clear that he wasn't seeking his power or his position in order to help people, but making his intentions clear that it was going to be all about himself and about having power and money and fame. People were like, well, why do we want to vote for you? So the tribunes asked at first, hello, Kurt Wessel, wink, wink, nod, nod, had asked for him to be silenced, essentially. So they said, look, um, if you don't basically be quiet, if you're not silent, we're going to cancel you. He refused and continued, and basically said, look, I'm better than all of you. I won't be silenced. So middle finger, bye. And the second time they brought him to judgment, and he continued. They basically ordered for his cancellation again, but people intervened and said, no, okay, well, we won't put you for cancellation. We'll just permanently have you banned. So they gave him a Napoleon treatment and had him shipped out of Rome. And thank you, bye now. So basically, the point of this transgression is by Corey making it clear, and no, not Corey from Blind Guy, his wife, there got life, but Corey, the military general, by making it clear to everybody, hey, look, I just want to be in this position of power. I'm just looking for money. I'm just looking for fame. I'm just looking for money. It's not about helping you, the general public. It's not about, by making it overtly clear to everybody what his goals was, by saying to everybody, this is what I want. People like banished him for it, because even though we know that a lot of people in power, or that you know people of certain positions or career, are not doing it for our benefit, we don't want to be told. You know what I mean? We don't always want to be told that, yeah, I'm just here for money. So, to some degree, we as the audience, when we hear people speak, to some degree, we want to be lied to, or at the very least, like maybe lied is a strong word. We don't want to be told the whole truth, right? We want that person not to confirm our deepest fears because, to some degree, that may confirm that the world isn't as wonderful as we might think that is. We still want to believe that politicians are truly there for our best, right? So when we have a politician telling us, "Yeah, no, I'm here for the money, I'm here for the power, I'm here for the fame," it's like we're taken aback by this, right? And even for me, sometimes I have to remember. As much as I like people being honest and direct, sometimes it's like, even for me, it's like, whoa, it's a little bit much. Keep some things for yourself. It's okay. You don't have to tell me everything. So that's the example of how somebody can transgress, right? So not only did he ruin his career, but he ended up being basically chased out of Rome, never allowed to return, right? And this is somebody, as you guys know, ancient Rome was big on their military, on sort of like what the U.S. is now, right? So if you had a very good position in the military and you had a very good and recognized career, you had a pretty decent life in Rome. So he basically shot himself in the foot by saying too much. Now he also presents again King Louis, Louis XIV, as an example of somebody who in this case, observed the law. So he did well. So in this case, what he did was that he would hold courts, right? And that's basically when the king holds an audience. So he's going to be there listening to the people that are there, right? So there are different kinds of courts that, have different kinds of objectives. So this one type of court that he would have is where he would listen to his key politicians about certain important topics, or decisions that needed to be made, right? Because even though he was king, he didn't know everything. Okay, so he did need to have certain people that would come in and talk to him about things that he needed more information about, or would know sort of the ins and outs, or the secret movements, or what have you. Whatever example you want to give here on certain things, right? So what he would do is, of course, the politicians would organize amongst themselves who would go first, what would be said, how it would be said, because they knew that, look, we have to present the content of what we're trying to say to King Louis in such a way that he's going to listen to us and hopefully observe what we're saying. But how Robert Greene is saying that King Louis observed the law is that he would let the politicians say everything that they wanted to say, right? So if they had to talk for 20 minutes, an hour, 5 hours, he would sit there and listen. After the court was held, so once it was done and he did whatever needed to be done for that day, the King Louis would literally walk away and never talk to the politicians about what was said that day. So if that day they had a decision to be made about whether or not there's going to be new horses being purchased for the royal family, for example, let's say that's, I'm just making up an example here. He would hold court for an hour, the politicians would talk for an hour, and then that's it. He would walk away, and once everything was done, right? And a week later, a month later, whatever X amount of time later, that's when he would come up with his decision and say, okay, we're going to buy 10 horses. Here's the kind of horses I want you guys to get me, from where, blah, blah, blah. Here's the money for it, get it done. So he would basically keep how he made his decisions and why to himself. And we're gonna learn a little bit of French, a little tiny amount, but don't worry, I'll keep the actual French lessons for Sunday nights. And would say L'état, c'est moi. The state is me. I'll repeat it. L'état, c'est moi. I am the state. I am the state. Not Lashes, not Trash Can Wave, not Shaquilla, not Kurt, not Peter, not Before the Billions. I, King Louis, I'm the state, right? So by making the decisions, so he gave his politicians the opportunity to say whatever they had to say. So they were heard, but by being silent, by walking away and by making it clear to people, I'm the king here. I'm the one with the royal blood. I'm the one who is anointed by God Himself. It is my decision how things are run. And how did He show that? By mum's the word, being silent. Exactly, right? So He did not say a word to anybody about why He was doing what He was doing, by how He was going to get it done. By He gave no, let's say, poop to anybody about what politician XYZ had said. If the Minister of Finance said, you know what, buying horses is a frivolous expense, we just sent X amount of people to XYZ battle or what have you, it's too expensive, or we don't have the means to get the horses, or whatever the case might be, at the court meeting, that's when, and everybody knew, look, we have this one shot to say what we need to say. So you better make sure that whatever it is that you need to say, that you hoped would influence the king in your favor, hopefully, that's when you had to say. You had that one shot. So it was up to you to say whatever it is you need to say. So you had to be smart about it. You had to plan ahead. You had to understand what mood is the king in. Did he eat properly that day? Did the wife take care of business between the sheets? If you understand what I mean, and all of that, right? And after that, the king, because again, I'm gonna go, yes, exactly, in Peter Investor, the power of silence, right? So he made it clear, and I'll repeat it. L'état, c'est moi. I am the state, right? So that was one of his tactics to make it clear to everybody that, hey, I'm the king. Your opinion only counts for so far. I'm the one who has to decide what's good for France or not. So, and as much as we might think, oh, that's, really a horrible mentality, but at the end of the day, France was one of the biggest empires for quite some time, uh, partially because of that mentality. Because it's like, hey, look, hey, Natasha Vesa, thank you for being here. As you see, we're talking about the 48 laws of power. We're on chapter 4. So whenever you see, Natasha, that I'm talking about the 48 laws of powers, I go chapter by chapter and I give you my basic interpretation and review of the chapter and explanation. So we're nearly done, unfortunately, Natasha. I don't know if, I think you've seen this, but I'm not 100% sure. But essentially, the 48 laws of power is broken up into several parts. The first part, the author, Robert Greene, talks about somebody who did not obey the law. And then the second part, he talks about somebody who observed the law. Then the third part is usually the quote unquote keys to power. So some of the elements that you can look at to follow that law. And the last part is reversal. So when is it important sometimes to do the reverse? So of course, the reverse is, when should you talk? Because it's, although I said earlier, of course, that silence is golden. Yeah, I hope you rewatch it. But yes, it's I think it's a good read. I'm taking it chapter by chapter, and so far it's pretty interesting. I think sometimes, he goes a little too much old school with the examples, but it's all good. So here he says that, look, the reversal is, of course, that silence Being silent all the time is unwise. So you need to have that discernment of at least saying something, right? So in my case, for example, I do reveal a little bit of personal stuff every once in a while, but it's not like that's the topic of every single episode, right? So leave a little bit of nuggets of information, but know when to be quiet, know when to really be silent, and let your silence speak for you, right? Now, so far, most of my interpretation of the first four laws is that a lot of it is um, interpreted the trying to present yourself in a way that the interpretation of others of you is favorable, right? How can you behave in such a way that other people look at you in the way that you want to be looked at, in the way that allows you to move the way you want to move in your life, right? um, because as much as you have TLA, for example, of course, with partly because of what's going on with the whole Fresh and Fit boys, you'll often hear him say, be authentic, be genuine, say what you say, and stand in your corner, stand on your beliefs, right? And although that's noble and there's nothing, it's important to have those moments where, yes, you are who you are, you say what you say, and you stand in your corner. We often forget that how people view you is just as important, right? Um, I think, was it you before the billions, or I think so, where you, yeah, it was you, where you had that, of course, that live of, is your wife important in, for your career, for your business? And of course, in that episode, a lot of us were saying, including myself, that yeah, your wife is important. In my personal view, y- the and you say wife, but I mean, obviously in my case it would be husband, but they're a reflection of the decisions that you make, right? You decided to marry this person. So if your spouse is out here, drinking too much, or they were accused of theft, or all these bad behaviors, people will wonder about you and your morals, right? Who you hang out with, your friends, your family. Well, no, your family, you have no choice sometimes to hang out with them, but more your friends, your spouses, that kind of thing is a reflection of who you are as a person, as the decisions that you make, right? So the 48 laws of power so far seem to play out a lot on that idea that how people perceive you is important, right? So Robert Greene really seems to really talk a lot about how to mitigate that and integrate that in your decision makings. um, he doesn't seem to really talk a lot about whether that should, how that can be combined with sort of the TLAs of the world, where being authentic, being yourself, how those two worlds um, can blend in together, because those two worlds seem to really conflict a lot of the times. Um, I have to admit that for me, I tend to worry a lot about what people think of me and about my reputation. Um, so there is quite a lot about what the 48 laws of power says that speaks to me, that I'm more touched and more drawn to reflect on my behavior than what somebody like TLA has to say. But again, it's not to say that what TLA is saying is wrong or don't listen to him. I think there is a way to um, integrate the both worlds and really consider the two, and how you can be authentic, you can be yourself while still being worried about other people's perceptions. Let's see what Peter is saying here. So power is like chess tournaments displaying how people move. Yeah, that could be one way of interpreting things. Yeah, I definitely see how you would how you would think that, how you would say that. And that's the thing. And I guess with the laws of power, you're really, the objective is like the word is in the title, right? It's really your the objective is to obtain power, right? Power over other people. So I guess that's why it is important to take into consideration other people's opinion of you, right? Because if that's your objective, is to have power, whether it's to become this, the next CEO of the company, or to be the leader of your family, or whatever it is, how you move on that chessboard, like you said, Peter, is going to be important, right? You're going to have to consider how other people, what people are on the board with you, how they move, what their power is, what their status is, etc. While as if for you, your objective is to be as authentic as possible, power really isn't the point in that case, right? But I believe personally, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm naive in that there's uh, when you talk about something like holistic or being wholesome, um, the part of the word there is in there, right? Whole. You're being the whole thing. You're not just being one part, right? Part of being powerful is being able to stand on who you are in part, at least in my opinion. So, anyways, that's pretty much what I want to say about this particular chapter. Because, like I said, I'm going to inspire myself from the title of the chapter. Right? Always say less than necessary. And I really don't think there's a whole lot more to say about this particular chapter and my interpretation of it. Next week, I hope, because I realized, I know yesterday or the day before I said, yeah, we're gonna talk about graveyard, and then I realized, no, I said it for next week. So I hope next week I'll finally be able to get through the book Graveyard by Neil Gaiman. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am feeling a bit of those quote unquote winter blues. Don't worry, guys. That happens to me every December, every January. And Natasha, I know maybe you're feeling that a little bit as well. The winter starts to set in, the dark tends to set in quite early, and you just want to get home and get to bed. And I have been under the weather a bit. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I know my throat has been aching, and the cough medicine starts to look a lot better and better every day. So yeah, no, you're right. She did a very good job. I'll have to check out her video because I think she had did a live lashes earlier. So I know I checked her out yesterday. Yeah, definitely. you know the beauty of the Montreal is beautiful, but yes, the winter are killer here. It's a killer. Or wait, sorry again, YouTube. Sorry, YouTube gods, please. They will cancel you for not hyped up on maple syrup every year. That's why maple syrup is such a big thing. We need that natural energy, guys. So that's it pretty much for me tonight, guys. Unless you guys really want me to continue, but I don't think this chapter really is something that needs a 3 hour conversation. Unless you guys want to have a little chat about something else. Excuse me. Like I said, I am feeling a little bit under the weather. So yeah, so I think I'll pretty much call it a day. But I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I will have a live at 10 a.m. where I'm going to talk about my knowledge and interpretation of the copyright and copyright strikes. And I admit I'm not an expert. I'm not an attorney like the lead attorney. And I admit that my title is a bit clickbaity-ish, and I'm trying to if I'm going to be a quote unquote YouTuber and content creator, I have to accept the fact that, and that's part of what I'm having a hard time learning, is that I have to be a little bit clickbaity, and I have to sometimes do things that I might not like, I might not understand, but hey, you know what? Right now, it's the big thing is the copyright. And for me, it is important. I am an amateur photographer, I am a YouTuber, so copyright strikes are important. So why not take advantage of the situation and try to use it to my advantage, But no, I won't go into the whole spill the tea and he said, she said things and what could happen. I think if you guys want to have those conversations in the chat, I have no mind of it, but that's just not what I really want to talk about. Anyways, so that's it for tonight, guys. As usual, you know how I end things. If there's somebody in your life that you haven't said I love you to, or you haven't hugged in a while, now's your time to do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late. So please, guys, make your thank you, Natasha. Glad to hear. Make sure that you say your holiday wishes to everybody as well. So happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish listeners. Merry Christmas to all my Christian listeners. Uh, those are the only two holidays I know for the Christmas season and Hanukkah. So if you practice another religion, please tell me about it. I would love to hear what your religious practices are and what holidays you celebrate during this time. So happy holidays to one and to all. And like I said, make sure you guys give each other a big hug and kiss, or to whoever you feel needs it the most today. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys in the streams. Hopefully, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 for my talk about copyright. And I moved, for those who noticed, or did not notice, I should say, my talk about movies to 6 p.m. tomorrow night. So you'll see two lives from me tomorrow. And if I don't see you in the lives, I hope to see you in the streams in general. So au revoir. Bye, everybody. Have a great night and a great streams for yourselves or for other people. I'm hoping that Black's Tropical Thunder is still live, but if not, I'll see you guys around. Have a great night and happy holidays, and hopefully see you guys tomorrow at 10 and or at 6 p.m. Bye, guys. Au revoir.